In this lesson, we will discuss keyframe interpolation and what it can do for our animations. Okay, so far all of the keyframes that we have set are your standard linear keyframes. So just to show you that, I want to go ahead and show you the RAM preview of the animation we've created so far. So you can see that everything that's moving is kind of hitting pretty fast. So it's just really moving in a straight line with no kind of change in its speed as it's moving. And that's not always the most realistic looking kind of animation that you can do. In fact, it almost never is. So whenever you have a car that's coming into a stop sign or a stoplight, it's going to slow down, come to a complete stop, and then slow out as it accelerates away from the stop sign. So that's something to keep in mind whenever we're creating some of our animations. So take this first word that we've created, for example, this millions word that you have right there. I'm going to go down to that layer and hit that U key just to bring up the keyframes that it has. And you see that all of these keyframes that we've created here at the beginning are just the plain little diamond keyframes. And those mean that they're just linear keys. So I'm going to select all of these keys here at the beginning, and we're going to change their animation style. So with all of those selected, come up here to Animation and go to Keyframe Assistant. And that gives us these three different options. We have Easy Ease In, and Easy Ease Out. So what Easy Ease In and Easy Ease Out mean are that whenever you see an Easy Ease Out, it means I'm leaving the keyframe. So any keyframe that's going to be at the beginning of your animation, you're probably going to want to use Easy Ease Out. So with all of those keyframes selected and then coming here through the Keyframe Assistant, I'm going to choose Easy Ease Out. And now you can see that the keyframe itself, that shape changed. So now let's watch a quick RAM preview of this area here at the beginning and see how that animation looks different. So now my animation is going to be happening much slower at the top of the animation, and then as we get to this second part of the animation where we're here at that last set of keys, it's just going to hit like it did earlier. So now I want to set an Easy Ease In style keyframe for these other four keys. So come back up here with all of those keys selected, go to Keyframe Assistant, and we're going to choose Easy Ease In. So now we have this sort of an animation, and we'll go ahead and watch that. So you can see that as this millions comes down into its last position, it's going much more slowly as it gets close to the keys that have been set at the end of the animation. So that's a lot more interesting than what we had before, and also a lot more realistic. So something else I can do is maybe change the animation of this millions piece of text here as the range selector has been applied to it. So you can see that it has this effect on it. And it really just happens a consistent speed all the way throughout. But maybe we want to slow it down even a little bit more here at the beginning of that bit of text, simply because the last part of the text feels like as it comes in, or as the shape comes in, it's overlapping not quite enough. So we still have a little bit of an area here that just feels like it's blank. So I'm going to select that first keyframe, and we'll come up there and go to Animation, Keyframe Assistant, and we'll choose Easy Ease Out. So you see how with my current time indicator in between those two keys, the beginning of that animation became a little brighter because it's going to take longer for it to get to the point that it is going to be completely disappeared. So kind of interesting how that works with different properties that it's been applied to. So I can also change the animation style for this Sur Num band layer that we created. So go ahead and drop that down to look at its keys. You can just select the layer and hit the U key. And actually, this circle number banner layer has all of its keyframes on the inside of this composition. So we'll want to go inside of the comp. And the teal circle is what's actually had the keys applied to that, and everything else has been parented to it. So these are the only two keys that we need to worry about changing. So let's say maybe I forgot what kind of key I need, if it's easy ease in or easy ease out. I can go ahead and add that other style keyframe, the easy ease, to the animation. Now, sometimes this works and sometimes it doesn't look as realistic, but a lot of times when you're doing kind of abstract animation like what we're creating here with this circle and banner, it's okay to do. So I'm going to select that second keyframe, and we'll come up here to Animation, Keyframe Assistant, and choose just plain old easy ease. So what that does now is we ease into the animation, and now if we set a second key, we'll ease out of it as well. So it's going to set interpolation for this keyframe on both sides. So let's just say that I move it a little bit more right there. So now I'm going to hit the work area here, just change this a little bit so that we're only looking at the area that contains those keyframes. And then we'll go ahead and watch a RAM preview, and you'll see what happens with an easy ease keyframe when it's in between two other keys. So it's a little bit different than just using an ease in or ease out. So you see that it kind of comes to a complete stop and then begins to move again. So you want to be careful when you're wanting to use those eases on your keyframes, that if you have the object that you're animating moving to a second point, that it doesn't look unnatural for it to come to a complete stop. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that key there, that third keyframe. And really, I'm happy with that first key being a linear key because I can't really see where it's coming from. So I could assume that it was coming from much further away. And by the time it reached the point that it was entering my composition, it had reached the maximum speed that it needed to be traveling at. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave that one as a linear style keyframe. So I'm going to go back out to my main composition now, and we'll just watch a quick RAM preview of everything we've created here, just to kind of see how those new styles of animation have changed the animation that we've created from just our regular linear keyframes to a little bit more of an eased animation. Okay, so now I've finished up that RAM preview for you to watch, and you can see the difference in how our animation looks. Now you could even go in if you wanted to and change some of that animation style on the camera so that that feels a little bit different there at the end, but you get the idea that those kinds of keyframes make a big difference. So in this lesson, we learned about temporal keyframe interpolation and some of the keyframe types that allow us to make our animations more realistic.